All right, everyone, it's time for today's second video. We got to talk about the very stunning news, actually, with regards to Joe Biden and his cockamamie scheme to pay illegal immigrants because their families were separated at the border under the Trump administration. You know, they do continue to do that, correct? And by the way, Biden has handed over kids to traffickers and shit, and a third of them are no longer in communication with Border Patrol, with the government. About a third of those kids, unfortunately, right now are either slaves, which is the worst possible outcome, or they're dead. I guess that's worse than being a slave. Kinda, sorta. It depends. Live free or die, fucker. Or are being, beaten and molested, or are in sweatshops. The best possible outcome is that they're just with negligent parents or something that are too fucking lazy or stupid to pick up a phone and check in with ICE once in a while. Say, oh yeah, the kid's fine. Yeah, let me put Pablo on the phone. That's the best case scenario. No, they're not getting beaten or anything. They're eating, it's scabs, guns, and peanut butter mode, I suppose. I mean, and now Biden comes out and says, this is his defense of this idea. Yeah, we're open to the idea of paying illegal families in the United States huge amounts of money, just not $450,000. He acts incredulous. The Biden administration literally coming out. In the initial report, it was said Biden was considering giving, illegal immigrants a bunch of money that we don't have, and with payments up to $450,000 per family. That was the upper limit. How does he respond? Doesn't deny that there's a plan to pay these people, all of which are illegally in the country. They are breaking U.S. law simply by being there. Apparently, without getting sued at all, they're just going to give them hush money. This is basically a payoff. Hey, now we're really, really sorry that evil, mean Drumpfler separated you at the border because he was following established protocol to try to prevent human trafficking that I myself, Joe Biden, apparently have no fucking problem with and will not address. I won't even pressure my border czar to go to the border. We're really sorry here. Please don't talk about it to the news media. Here's $5,000 or something. But that doesn't make any sense. They're illegal immigrants. These are not refugees. They are not legally in the United States. They're not legally entitled to taxpayer money. Paying them anything makes no sense. By the way, I would point out, in a plurality of states, the fact that they're illegal is no impediment to getting public assistance at the state level. Well, if the people of the state don't mind, because the people of California are feeling generous that day with all the federal grants that they get as well, that's different. Who gives a shit? Doesn't impact me. But it certainly impacts me when it's going to impact the federal budget because you're unloading probably, I would imagine, hundreds of millions of dollars to various families. But they're not doing it. The protocol was being followed at the time, and it was lawful. Separating a child and their family at the border also means separating a child from someone who's lying and pretending to be a family member. The coyote, the trafficker, the cartel member that wants to sell them into a sweatshop. Hey, I can get $500 for these kids here. Yeah, well, this one's attractive. I think I can get $1,000. I know this other dude who has even more nefarious motives in mind. That happens literally every day at the southern border. It's not addressed by the border czar. Psaki won't answer questions about it. Literally is oblivious to what's happening there when queried. When the news media, the captive news media, these people are Biden's friends. When they talk to Jen Psaki, it's hard to even elicit a coherent answer. Hey, how many unaccompanied minors came across this month? Oh, I'll circle back around and look into it. And then they never get their answer. Certainly not for public press. they might get it in private. Hey, shh, please don't report on this, but the number's up 10% more. Just like with inflation. I can't wait to see those numbers for October. Oh, by the way, I loved how Joe Biden was warbling like a goddamn rooster, strutting around trying to take credit for the jobs report. And I'm thinking, yeah, you added more jobs than expected. Low-wage jobs, by and large, with massive low labor force participation as the result of a few states going back on the lockdownerism. Had nothing to do with the federal policy. That was state level. Any job restoration that was going to happen because of federal policy already happened under Donald Trump. Then he said it was record jobs creation. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even your highest month, let alone anything close to what happened in the wake of April and May under Trump in his last year. Technically speaking, he was the greatest jobs creator in human history. if you look at the raw numbers and you don't look at them in context. Oh yeah, these 10 million jobs that were wiped out, we just restored 5 million of them. See, we added 5 million jobs. It's a new record. Trump did that too. Only back then, the legacy media would fact check it. I am astonished, by the way, at Biden's lack of strategy here. You're facing off against economic problems. You just got hammered in state-level elections, so people are demoralized. The liberals are looking for some red meat. Hell, they're looking for tofu at this point. That would fulfill them more. Actually, they'd probably prefer that anyway, so strike that thought. And then you come out and you say that you welcome the idea of paying illegal immigrants money. The border crisis is no longer even a partisan issue, Joe. The border crisis is actually a unifying issue. The vast majority of Americans across a broad spectrum of the economy and the population, without regards to race, gender, education, religion, etc., a very, very large proportion think the border's fucked up. Yeah, that's why the approval of Biden's handling of the border, what was it, like 30%? That's barely a majority of Democrats. If you look at the Democratic Party, that would mean you've lost 25-30% of them plus every independent and Republican in the country on the issue. And that number has been steadily dropping. To be clear, it's not getting better. The best it can get is that the legacy media just doesn't go to the border and report on what's going on. They try to keep the Republican senators and a handful of Dems like Manchin out of the centers so that they can't take pictures. Remember when they tried to get Ted Cruz to delete photos of the kids wrapped up like little burritos in the space blankets, and how funny that was? I don't think that Ted Cruz is the kind of sitting senator who's going to tolerate that, because he knows that he has relatively high legal clout because he's got the name recognition. It was a bad idea to even ask him to do that, because then it just makes you look sleazy. And not Sleazy P. Martini, by the way, who you should subscribe to. That makes you look like you've got something to hide. Which might be why the border czar never visited the border. Has never once, in the whole scope of her work, which has lasted almost since the inception of the Asterisk administration, has never even been within a short distance of the border. The closest she got was several miles away on the tarmac in El Paso. She pretended to do her job. The legacy media said, oh good, she's visiting the border. Yeah, but you couldn't even see the border from where she was. There's nowhere near it. Miles away. Nowhere near a detention facility. Is she going to go to Donna, which, by the way, I lived there for several months one summer, way, way long ago. Is she going to go there and actually talk to the kids, talk to the adults, talk to someone who's been separated from their child? And by the way, that is happening, and it's not fun. It's not great when a parent and child are in separate facilities, but you don't necessarily know right off the bat it is the parent that actually is the guardian of that child. You don't know whether the parent might be a felon or something like that. And then at the same time, you've got to screen for disease, etc. You can't have kids and adults in the same facility. Generally speaking, if they're making those claims, they'd still be around other kids. Oh yeah, one little happy family. We're all in the same plexiglass cell together. How fun. Yes, that is absolutely what we should be doing as a country. By the way, it's much more humane to just send them all back across the border because they are illegally entering the country. We have a Remain in Mexico policy that is being completely ignored for refugee processing. We have a Biden administration that is selectively rounding up and deporting people who are violating that policy while letting half of those people in. I mean, it's all over the place. And they say, oh yeah, my polling is at about 42% right now in the push poll aggregate. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to suggest to the public that I'm going to take the money that we don't have and give it to people on the fractured border because Trump is mean. Because Trump made a tweet once. That makes a lot of strategic sense. That's about all. Peace out.